Today's foundation class is called Level Hips, Lift Your Legs. We're going to be talking about the glute medius, the side hip muscle, lifting the leg, trying to keep our hips level so we can target this glute medius. So important for getting that abduction away from the body, but really our glute medius is just so important for all of the movements that we do with our hip in our everyday lives and on our yoga mat. So let's get started on our backs. We want to come down, back of the hips, shoulders, back of the skull on the ground. Press into your feet and lift your pelvis off the floor. Let that engage the glutes. You can even take your hands here, give a little pat and slap, bringing your mind to the bottom of the feet. Go ahead and open and close the legs here, doing, we'll call them little butterfly pulses. So remember, it's not important how high up here you are. We're just getting a little bit of heat into the pelvis and adding our own perturbation, our own instability here by creating this little external rotation and then just bringing it back to neutral. Keep going with this, but I'll just show you real quick from the front. We're just getting a little movement of the legs out and in. And even see if you can do this without lifting the big toe mounds. So that can also be challenging, not just rocking that weight all the way out into the edges of the feet, even though we are getting this external rotation, continuing to remain grounded. All the same cues too, keeping that low back long, glutes working, stay low, don't worry about how high up you are, getting a little movement and hydration for the hips. So we can bring our legs into neutral, just again with that little legs plugging into the hip socket feeling. Hands come up to the ceiling. Get your left hand, pull back on your right fingers. We're going to stretch this right hand, palm up towards the ceiling. Big inhale. Exhale. So now you should be feeling all that heat, that movement you created around the hip joint. So that's right where the leg meets the acetabulum of the pelvis, your hip socket there, that ball and socket joint. Release the right wrist. You'll take the left wrist to a little stretch, a couple breaths there. You can really bring your mind to that left wrist, gaze at it, look at your left thumb, let your left thumb pull away from the center of the palm. That can be really helpful as well, just getting that opening energetically from looking at it, or release the left wrist and circle our wrist just a couple of times here. We'll bring our arms down by our side and then lower down from the upper, middle to the lower back. Take your hands behind your head, interlacing them, and tie the fingers together. Elbows will be in here, feet walked in, inhale, exhale, and lift. Shoulder blades come off the ground. Pull the low ribs in towards each other and feel like the front line of your body. So this whole area between the ribs and the hips, right below the belly button, pulling down like it's suctioning into the low back. Feel the stabilizer abs turn on for you. Inhale, lower. We'll start to move with it. Exhale and lift. Everything gathers together. Shoulder blades come off the ground. Take a little twist to the left. So you're twisting to the left, just trying to stay off that left shoulder blade. It's challenging. Come back through center. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. Everything gathers together. We'll twist to the right. So it's just a small twist to the right here. Key is to stay off the right shoulder blade. It's not as important, like the bridge, how high up you go. Come down and inhale. All you need to do is enough to get the shoulder blade up. Exhale and lift. Pull in deeply. So it's not about going high, it's about going deep with the core. Twist to the left. Reach your right arm past your left leg. So like really reach it from that shoulder blade. Don't let it go. Right hand comes back. Inhale, lower. Exhale and lift. Everything gathers together. Take a little twist to the right. Reach your left arm past your right leg and really reach this thing. Lift off that shoulder blade. Everything gathers together. Left hand comes back through center. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. Gather together. Twist to the left. Reach that right arm past that left leg and kick your left foot forward. So spread the toes. Your legs will just kind of stay in line. We've just extended the left knee. Left foot comes down. Right hand comes back. Inhale, lower. Exhale and lift. Everything gathers together. Twist to the right. Reach that left arm past the right leg and then kick that right leg forward. Really reach it with that left arm, like from that shoulder blade. Left hand comes back. Right foot comes down. Inhale and lower. Exhale and lift. Last one's here. Shoulder blades come up. Twist to the left. Reach that right arm past the left leg. Left leg kicks forward.
right foot's on the ground, and just hover it 1 inch off the ground. Not that high, really just stay low. Staying low is harder. Oh my gosh. Right foot comes down, left foot comes back, inhale and lower. Last thing here, exhale and lift, twist to the right. Reach left arm past that right leg, kick your right leg forward, left foot's on the ground. Hover it just 1 inch here, staying lower. Gonna get you to pull in deeper into the core. Left hand comes back, left foot comes down, right foot comes back, inhale. And lower. Now wiggle your feet wide and drop your knees off to the right. Press the left heel into the ground and activate the left glute, opening the left hip here. You can reach the arms overhead, tying the fingers together, getting some sideline lengthening. So we're getting some hip opening here and that front hip flexor. You might even feel it a little bit around that glute medius. Come back through center. And so again, we'll be working on lifting the leg without hiking the hip. So nothing wrong with a hip hike, but so often we get so good at our hip hike and so bad at our leg lift. And of course, like anything, right? So make sure you switch directions. If I didn't cue that out loud, then go ahead and switch directions. Come over the other side, press into your right heel. Arms can still be overhead or always down by your side is great too. So not that we don't want to hike the hip, but sometimes all we can do is hike the hip. So just like anything, if we want to get a little bit better, we're going to purposely turn off that hip hike in order to really get into lifting the leg. So we'll come back through center and we'll find it in a few different positions and come around into your quadruped. In quadruped today, we're going to start off with the hands under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and extend your right leg behind you. Toes are on the ground. Lift your right leg up using the right glute. Again, it's not about how high up it is. And if you have a block, it can be really nice to take it on the back of the sacrum. So it's very back of the pelvis here, just above the butt flesh. Your right leg's coming out to the side. So it's going to venture a little bit off at the side of the mat and then tap your right foot down, bring it back up and take it through center. And keep going like that. So you abduct, we call this, taking it away from the body, tapping it down, bringing it back through center. A little abduction, tap it down, and then back through center. Keep going like that. We'll do a few more. We are working some glute medius here, some other muscles too, but really targeting this leg moving inside the hip socket. So again, hip movement is when the leg moves inside the hip joint. We're going to try and contain the movement around the pelvis. Right leg goes out, a little tap, and then bring it back through center. It goes out, a little tap. Let's go one more, a little tap, back through center, right knee comes down. So again, that block can be helpful, but you don't necessarily need it. Left leg extends back, pressing into those toes, fire up the left glute, lift the left leg. The block will also tell you if you've really dumped down and might roll forward on you. So take it out to the left here and give a little tap and then back through center, out to the left, give a little tap and back through center. From behind, if you're in like the back of class, everybody would look like this. Coming out to the side, a little tap. And you should be feeling a lot of heat right here on that outside left of the pelvis. Really firing it up. All right, let's get one more. Left leg comes out to the side. Oh, lost my block. Of course, I was changing positions now. Bring it back. And then we'll bring that left knee down, lower down onto your forearms here. And setting up for a dolphin, as always, forearms will be down. We can tie the hands together, or we can take a block. I like my block, framing it out with my hands, left frame out the left side, right frame out the right side. Palms come down, forearms come down, release your neck, tuck your toes. Exhale, puff up in between your shoulder blades, really round that upper back. Lift your core, so front line of the body lifts in the back, and pelvis comes up high. Bend the knees, come up onto the toes, let those heels lift away. Push more down into your forearms. Left leg is down, right leg lifts up, right knee bends. 2 times here, we're gonna pull the right leg in and circle it out, back, around, out, back, around, out, back, around. Now change directions, so go the other way with your hip circles here in your dolphin. Keep lifting your low ribs, right foot comes down, left leg lifts up. Bend that left knee, pull it in towards your torso, and circle it out, back, around. Keep going like that. Keep pushing into your forearms, keep pushing into that right big toe. Lift your front line into the back line. Switch directions so that leg switches which way it rolls, taking just the leg bone around in the hip socket.
Left foot comes down, knees come down, child's pose, sit back. You can rest your forehead on the ground, still feel just a little press down of your hands into the floor. One more. One more, rise on up. And then from here, tuck your toes. We'll find a down dog as a way to get up to the top of the mat. So find your quadruped, tuck your toes, press your hands again, puff up in between the shoulder blades, rounding just the upper back, and then hoist your pelvis up high. So just think the back of the hips going directly up to the ceiling. Keep pushing your hands and keep the weight between your feet and your hands equal, so elbows stay straight, but the knees can bend. So this, what I mean is the space in between your leg and your hip socket, the hip flexor there, get deeper with it. Feel like everything's pulling up there and step to the top of the mat. Exhale, inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hands come down by your side. Get ready for sun salutation 1. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Contain the core. Exhale, hinge at the hips. You can always use the hands to stuff those femur bones back. Hands come down, right foot steps back, right knee comes down. Inhale, 90-90 low lunge, arms reach up. Hands come down, step back in a plank. Lower the knees, lower all the way to the ground. Head of the arm bones stay lifted. Keep that press into the palms even as you lower. Pull back the hands in cobra, lift your front line into the back line, root your tailbone, press and lift. Downward facing dog, hoist the pelvis up, step the feet in, let the knees bend, get high in that pelvis. Right foot steps forward, left knee comes down, arms reach forward and up, inhale. Hands come down, step forward, hinge at the hips, exhale. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, hands come down. Left foot steps back, left knee comes down. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, hands come down. Step back in a plank, lower the knees, head of the arm bones stay lifted. Pull back the hands for cobra, inhale. Lift, down dog, press in the hands, hoist pelvis up high. Left foot steps, right knee comes down. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Hinge at the hips, hands come down in front of that front foot. Step to the top of the mat. So your right foot steps, meet the left. Exhale, inhale, arms reach up. Let's keep going with it. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Step the right leg back, keep the right knee up. Rise up for high lunge. Arms reach forward and up. And then bring your hands to either side of the pelvis. I want you to feel here with your hands on either side of the pelvis. If it's tipped forward at all, root your tailbone, press into your back right foot, and squeeze that right glute. Now turn to the right. We're gonna be in a little straddle position. Sit back in the right hip, side lunge to the right, the left leg gets long. This is a little bit of a doozy. We're gonna load the left leg, rising up at the torso, and bring the right leg next to it. Might be hard to see, but I'm hovering my right foot on the ground here. So right foot steps out again, side lunge to the right, sit back in the right hip, load the left leg, right leg just hovers next to it. Side lunge to the right, sit back in the right hip, load the left leg, right leg hovers. Let's do that 2 more times. Side lunge to the right, load that left leg, right leg hovers. Side lunge to the right, load that left leg, right leg hovers. Now let's go all the way to side lunge to the right, hold it, sit back in the right hip. Getting long in that left leg, feeling the hips move back in space. Remember, side lunge. When our hips move back, front line of the body holds in, shoulder head stays centered. One more breath here. Walk your hands around to the front of the mat. 3-legged down dog, like dolphin, but hands on the ground instead of forearms. Left leg is up. Bend the left knee, pull the left thigh into the torso and circle it out, back and around, in, out, back and around. About 3 times there. Then you go the other way. Okay, if you do less than that, if you're going a little slower, it's fine. And then left leg comes down. 1 breath in, down dog, inhale. Exhale. Left foot steps forward, right foot steps forward. Exhale, inhale, arms reach forward and up, stand up tall. Exhale, hinge at the hips, hands come down. Left foot steps back, left knee comes down. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Rise up tall here, reaching up through those shoulder heads. Hands come down. Sorry, we're gonna keep the arms up, keep the toes tucked. Almost lost my way there. Tucking that left toe and lift that left knee off the ground. Now hands are gonna come down to either side of the pelvis. So you're in a high lunge, my apologies. Left toes pressing into the ground, left knee is bent. We're using that bend of the left knee to push more into the left toes and fire up that left glute. Keep the pelvis neutral. Open to the left, you're in that parallel feet position, straddling, side lunge to the left. Getting long through that right leg. Pressing your left foot, hover the left foot next to the right. Step to the left, side lunge to the left. So remember, we come to the right, load the right leg, left foot's just hovering next to it. Step to the left, sit back in the left hip, side lunge to the left, load that right leg. Step to the left, side lunge to the left, load that right leg, left leg comes in. Step to the left, load it, load that right leg. One more time, step to the left, load it, load that right leg, step to the left, step back in the hips, side lunge to the left. Walk the hands around, find yourself in three-legged down dog. Right leg goes up, bend the right knee. Bring the right knee in, circle it out, back, down, around, out, back, down, around, out, back, down, around, and then go the other way. So take that hip circle back the other way and around, and then extend that right leg up. Right leg comes down, exhale. Step the right foot forward, step the left foot forward, come to top of the mat, inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. We'll just do one sun salutation A, step back and plank, lower the knees or lower all the way to the ground without them. Keep the head of the arm bones lifted. Pull back your hands in cobra, inhale, root the tailbone, press and lift, down dog, strong foundation there. Feel free to pause the tape and do 3 or 5 of those if you really need to bring the heat or you just want a little extra sweat for it. So we're in our down dog, holding steady here where we all meet up. Remember, weight is equal in the hands and the feet. Come forward in the plank, lower the left knee down. Right leg is back, left knee is under the left hip. Open up to the right from modified side plank. You can kick the left foot behind you like a little bit of a kickstand on a bicycle. Bring your right hand to your left head of the arm bones, so the shoulder socket where the left arm meets the torso. Left hand's under the left shoulder. Make sure it's not forward or out in front of you, but just directly under that shoulder. Right hand feels, and make sure that the ball and socket joint here is nice and centered, not pushing forward. And then right hand comes on top of the right hip. Lift the right leg off the ground and lower it. Give it a little tap, lift, and then lower it. Give a little tap, lift, and lower it. Give a little tap, this lift, lower it, give a little tap. So you feel this lift and lower. You root your tailbone, feel that strength through the glute, palm pressing into the ground, elbow is long and tall. Let's get 3 more. We'll lift and lower, we'll lift and lower. If you feel like it's really snoozy, you can always go less range of motion. It doesn't have to lift up as high. Lift that right leg, then step the right foot up to the left hand, tuck the left toes and open up to the left for goddess. Roll the thighs out and sit into your hips. Goal post your arms. Pull the shoulder blades back. Left forearm comes to left thigh. Reach the right arm over. Take a breath here. Rise back up through center. Right forearm to right thigh. Left arm reaches over. Take a breath here. Root the tailbone. Come back through center. Inhale. Left forearm to left thigh. Right arm reaches over. Rise back up. Back through center. Right forearm to right thigh. Left arm reaches over. Come back through. Exhale. Bring yourself around to the front. Left hand lands inside that right foot. Left knee comes down. Just a little twisted crescent here. Bring that left hand back to, or sorry, the right hand back to that left shoulder socket where the left arm is plugging into this shoulder. And as you press in the left hand, feel that left shoulder blade hug onto the back ribs. You can let your left ear go to your left shoulder. Feel a stretch to the side body. Get the right arms up. It's not pulling you back, stressing out that shoulder, but it's just kind of like a flag hanging out here. Right hand comes down. Lift the left knee and step the right leg back. Downward facing dog. Hip flexors are on. So we're going to deepen that hip flexion. Weight's equal in the hands and the feet. Come forward in the plank. Inhale. Right knee comes down, right hand stays down, modified side plank. Left hand comes to that right shoulder socket. Make sure that right arm bone isn't rolling forward and right hand's right underneath that right shoulder. Left hand then comes on top of the left side of the pelvis, so right where your leg plugs into the hip socket. We're gonna lift and lower. Abducting, lifting the leg, keeping the hips level. Lift the leg, keep the hips level. Feel this almost like fire hose type muscle, the way it feels when it's all fired up. That glute medius getting nice and taut here on the side. You should feel an actual like strengthening, tautening there on that side as it lifts and lowers. Remember, you can always take the range of motion out and not go quite as high. That's totally fine. Let's get 2 more. And then lift it, hold it, step the left foot up to the right hand, tuck the right toes, open up to the right for goddess. Land your heels, thighs roll out to whatever degree feels comfortable. Your goddess can look like this. Goalpost the arms, right forearm to right thigh, left arm reaches over. Exhale. Inhale as you come back up through center, forearm to thigh and right arm over. Feel the heel in the floor. Inhale, come back through center. Left over the ear, back through center at the inhale. Exhale, brings right over the ear. Back through center. Turn back to the front, right hand comes down, right knee comes down, 90-90, twisted crescent. Right hand down, bring that left hand back to that right shoulder socket, press into it, feel that peeling open of the ribs here. So you just get that stabilization, feeling it here, getting a little opening for that left side. 2 more breaths. All right, and then we'll go ahead, bring that left hand down, tuck the right toes, step that left foot back to meet the right. Make your way to the top of the mat. You can try a little hop. You can take a step with each leg. Rise all the way up and bring the hands to either side of the pelvis. So I'm going to show this 2 directions. Load the left leg, and we're going to lift the right leg to the side and then cross it behind us just a little bit. You can even tap those toes down. So you're getting your abduction, lift to the side, right leg lifts, without hiking the hip. I'm doing my best not to scrunch up this side body. It's not about how high up it gets. You want to feel deep activation of this glute medius. And then adducting it, taking it behind us with a little tap down. Kind of like that move that we did in our quadruped. Now don't get confused, I'm going to turn towards you. So my leg is lifting out, getting a little cross. Lifting out, getting a little cross. Lifting out, getting a little cross. Not a huge movement here, but a deep, deep feeling, and really see if you can minimize that pelvis lifting. So keep hips level, mostly in line with each other. There'll be a little bit of a tip upwards, but notice if you're doing it as a compensation or if that's happening for you, on purpose. Chances are you're doing it subconsciously. All right, so let's go ahead, get 3, 2, 1, and then one time here, I want you to hold this right leg out to the side. We're going to keep our left hand on our left hip. Right leg reaches back for bent knee airplane. Right hand comes on top of that left thigh just above the left knee. Bend that left knee, holding it steady here. So left hand's on the outside of the left hip in that hip crease. Stuff the fingers in there. Get that femur bone to sit back further. You're going to get more glute firing up that way. Spread the toes. Weight is equal throughout that whole foot. Then right knee comes down behind the left ankle. You can kick your right leg out underneath of you if it's uncomfortable to sit with your legs crossed like this, or come up onto a block and roll your shoulders back one at a time. Just getting this little unwinding. A little dynamic movement here. We'll take our dynamic movement to a stiller side opener. So now we'll release our hips from the block, uncross your left ankle from on top of that right thigh. So left leg is long, right knee is still bent, and you've rolled your right thigh out, so it's out a little bit. You have your right hand behind you outside your right hip. Pressing your right hand, come up onto the right knee, the left foot stays down. It's like the movie Flashdance. You get just a little sideline lengthener. Feel that all the way up through that iliopsoas. And then come back around, step that right leg back to meet the left. Once again, take a breath in down dog. Hip flexors are deep, weights equal in the hands and the feet. Step to the top of the mat or bend the knees, push through your toes, give yourself a little hop. And think hip flexors get deep because it's those hip flexors getting deep that lifts the pelvis up. All right, let's all rise back up, hands on either side of the pelvis. So again, now we're loading the right leg, but left leg lifts and then cross it. Well, adduction, abduction. Abduction, like abduction, like an alien, you know, away from your body, away from the planet. Adduction, like addition. So again, I'll show you from the front. Don't get confused. Leg lifts and cross it. Leg lifts and crosses. So you still stay facing front is what I mean. And we'll have hands on either side of the pelvis, just giving you that feedback. Like, do you rely a lot on hiking your hip? Or are you able to lift your leg? Again, there's nothing wrong with hiking your hip, but I also want you to be able to lift your leg when the command comes, getting that good movement of those abductors and adductors, really. The whole thing's going. All right, let's get 3, 2, 1. Hold that left leg out to the side in that abduction, and then bringing the left heel to reach towards the back of the mat. Right hand stays on the right hip point. Left hand comes on top of this right thigh. Right glute is working. Sit back into the hip. So you can really stuff your fingers into that hip socket, especially if it's really struggling. Take your left hand around that knee. And you can really brace that joint yourself. Left knee is going to come behind the right ankle for seated spiral. So you want to sit down, legs crossed. Now this might be really tight or like you can get into it, but you're really rounded in the back. Let your spine get long. So kick your bottom leg out in front of you or slide a block or a pillow underneath of you and sit your spine upright. So when we roll our shoulders back one at a time, we really allow that to open up and free itself here. You go real slow with it. However quick you're moving, really try to make it one at a time and explore that range of motion. All right, so we'll slow our little shoulder rolls down. Uncross the right ankle from that left thigh. So right leg is long, left knee is bent, left hand comes outside the left hip, press into the left side and reach the right arm up, pushing into that right foot. Long through that right hip flexor. Flash dance move here. We'll release that, flip it around to down dog. Make your way to the top of the mat. So again, you can step to the top of the mat from your down dog, you know, position the spine, keep that back long, hip flexors high, bend and straighten, try a little push and spread, make a little hop, and then rise on up. All right, we're gonna put these 3 sequences together. We'll be putting a few things together. For example, we're starting off, we're taking our side lunge, loading it, and getting like our little half jack move there. Remember, level hips, lift the leg is the name of the class. It's the goal in mind. Why? Because we want to fire up that glute medius, get some muscles working that are a little underactive from a lot of the sitting that very many of us find ourselves doing throughout the day. No fault of your own. It's just the way the world is built. So let's all come up to the top and we can cure these obstacles together by moving together in these good ways. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Hands come down, step the right foot back. High lunge. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Hands come to either side of the pelvis. Turn to the right. Side lunge to the right. So move the hips back in space. Left leg is long, right hip sits back. Load the left leg. Right foot comes in, so it's hovering, so it's easy to lift it to the side. Right leg lifts, and then right foot steps out. Side lunge to the right. Load the left leg, right foot's hovering next to it, lift it to the side, it comes back to that hover, side lunge. So we'll have 3 moves, that hover, lift the right, side lunge to the right, hover, lift the right, hover, side lunge to the right. There is like that little hover in between, lift, Side lunge to the right. So you get that little hover, lift, hover, side lunge. Hover, lift, hover, side lunge. Hover, lift, hover, side lunge. 3 more. We'll hover, lift, hover. Try to get the space between the low ribs and the hips spacious, just so that you're not relying on that side hip. All right, side lunge to the right, hold it. 2 breaths here. You can even rotate your ribs a little bit towards the right if it feels good. And then walk the hands around to the front. Left leg goes up. 3-legged down dog. Bend the left knee, circle the left hip. In, out, back, around. In, out, back, around. One more time. In, out, back, and around. Go the other way. Circle it out, in, and around. Keep pushing to the hands. Keep those elbows straight. Weight is strong through those arms. Left knee comes forward, lands underneath the left hip. One time here. Open up for modified side plank. You can check that left shoulder, then right hand comes on top of the right hip. Right leg lifts, hold it here. Option to reach that right arm up. It's like a half moon balance here. That left arm is strong, left knee's underneath the left hip. Right leg is lifting. Don't let it sink down. Lift this thing up, everything uplifting from the floor. One more breath. Strong in your core as you exhale. Right foot steps up to the left hand. Open up to the left. Goddess. One time here. Left arm to left thigh. Right arm reaches over. We're going to push through our right foot, straightening the right leg, but still squeeze the right glute, get really long. 2 more breaths here. Big inhale into the right side body. Exhale, push more into that right foot. Rise back up. Right forearm to right thigh. Left arm sweeps over. Push into that left foot and straighten that left leg. Staying for like 3 breaths here. Breathing into that left side body. And then turn to the front. Left hand comes down. Twisted crescent. Left knee can land or it can stay up. You can check in with that left shoulder head. Option to bring that right hand around onto the left glute. Keep the hips level here. Left ear releases the left shoulder. 2 more breaths. Keep the left shoulder blade on the back ribs. Keep breathing. Keep working through it. Then we'll go ahead, step our left foot to meet that right foot. Rise to stand, hands on either side of the pelvis. So now we're going to throw some moves together again. Load this left leg. Lift your right leg out to the side. Bring it behind you. Make a little bit more of a curtsy squat. So the left hip sits back. That right knee bends. Load the left leg. Lift that right leg out to the side. So it's this little curtsy squat. Leg lifts. Again, I'll show from the front a few times. Don't get screwed up. Leg comes behind, little curtsy squat, and lift. But I'll show from the side, actually, this point we're illustrating, the leg's lifting, but we are moving the hips back. So see that? Your leg bone has to move back in space to get you low to the ground. One more time, hold that right leg up to the side, and then right leg comes behind you, bent knee, airplane, drive that heel, right hand comes down. Strong to that core. Keep the hands on the hip and the knee. Option to also reach them back, definitely available. Spread the toes, a little more challenge, a little more load for the upper body to hold. And then right knee comes behind left ankle, seated spiral. Again, you can kick your leg out as an option or sit down on a block. Come to your seated spiral. This time, left arm down by your side, right arm reaches up, side bend to the right. Take 2 breaths, bending to the right. Like goddess, keep driving your right glute down and really keep that thing anchored into the floor. And rise up, right hand down, left arm up, exhale, side bend to the right. And then rise up and cross left ankle from right thigh. Sit back down in that left leg long, right thigh, right knee bent and right thigh rolled out. This time now, instead of coming up, we're going to stay upright in the spine. We're going to get a little moving twist here. So just moving around the axis of your spine, reaching opposite arm across the body. So right arm reaches across, left arm reaches across. Just alternating here, back and forth a few times. A few more, core stays on. Remember, try not to round. You can always like straddle your legs, just like have them both out in front and bend the knees as much as it feels comfortable. And we'll slow it down, flip around, down dog, hip flexors high, step or give a little pressy hop to the top. Rise up with the arms, inhale. Exhale, hinge at the hips, hands come down, left foot steps back, rise up for high lunge, left toes press on the ground, left glute is working, hands come to either side of the pelvis. We're gonna turn to the left, opening up that left hip for side lunge. So side lunge to the left, load that right leg, left leg's by your side. Remember, we're lifting it, little half jack, side lunge to the left, sit back on the left hip, load the right leg, lift the left leg, half jack, side lunge to the left. Keep thinking, just that leg bone moving in that hip socket, no movement of that pelvis. It's like, I want you to think about that, right? Like if your low back ever really bothers you and stuff like that, maybe there's a chance, like you're lifting your pelvis, that those low back muscles are really used to working for you. They are really ready to go all the time. So not that we don't want to be ready to go and strong and all that, but we also want the muscles below, behind, above the low back muscles to be ready to go as well. Let's go, one more. So you got that side lunge, hover, lift, hover, side lunge, hold your side lunge to the left. Twisting to the left a little bit through those ribs if you like. Release the hands, walk into the front of the mat, right leg goes up. Bend the right knee, circle the hip, in, out, back, around, in, out, back and around, in, out, back and around, and then the other way, out, in, and around, out, in, and around, and out, in, and around. Come forward in a plank. Right knee lands underneath the right hip. Remember, you can always kick it behind you. Modified side plank. Left leg will lift. Left hand can always check right shoulder socket. Make sure that arm isn't poking forward in the joint there. Holding this left leg up. Feel that strength. You can always have it down for stability. Left arm lifts up. Feeling it here. Almost more challenging to have to hold it in that isolated position. Then left foot steps forward. Rise up, goddess. Heels land, so feel good. Right forearm to right thigh, left arm over. Pushing that left foot and straighten the left leg a little bit. Squeeze your left glute. Come back through center, inhale. Left forearm to left thigh, right arm reaches over. Side line lengthening. Rise back up. You're gonna turn back to the front of the mat. Just a crescent. Right knee can come down or not. You could have your right hand up on a block. Core is on. Right toe presses into the ground. Left hand can hang out at that right glute. Make sure it's lifting up away from the floor. Don't let that hip sag, but push in the toes and lift them up. Lean on that shoulder, release the right ear. One more breath. We'll come out of our twist, step the right foot forward and rise up to stand. Hands on either side of the pelvis. Here's our last big move. Left leg out to the side, little abduction, cross it behind us. So curtsy squat, sit back in that right hip. Adducting that left leg, so crossing it behind us and sitting back in that right hip. I like to take my thumbs into that hip crease, work on moving it back in space. Just think, stuff that femur bone back in the hip socket, stuff that femur bone back into the hip socket. Take it back in the hip socket. Last 3, 2, and 1. We'll lift it one time here. Send that left leg back. Heel leads the way, bent knee airplane. Right hand comes down the right hip. It's a great place for it. Left hand on top of that right knee, securing the knee joint. You could always reach the arms back. It's a little bit more load for your upper core and the shoulders and the torso to hold. So go with what's comfortable, what feels good. Don't be afraid to explore the uncomfortable, the challenging. Left knee behind the right ankle. Come down into a seated spiral. Oh, that feels good. Right hand down by your side. Left arm up, side bend, inhale. Exhale, little crescent side stretch. Bring ourselves back through center. Right arm up and over to the left. Nice, here comes the sun. Rise back up. So again, we'll do our seated but dynamic twist. Uncross right ankle from this left thigh. Now left foot's inside right thigh. We're gonna crisscross the arms. So I mean like reach across the body. Spine stays long. Your head stays in line with the shoulders. So like feel like your throat is pulling back. You're lifting through the top of the head. Might feel kind of mechanical, but just allow yourself to really unwind around the spine in this way that truly frees it up. And we're going to feel that in a moment, a little bit of a deeper chest stretch. So bring it on to hands and knees as you flip it around. We're going to come back into plank, first coming into our cobra. So knees can lower all the way to the ground. Go wide with your hands and come up off of your palms on your fingertips, elbows pointing up. Toes will stay tucked, release your forehead. You can always have it on a block if that's more comfortable for you, or you don't want it on the floor for some reason. Elbows point up, inhale, pull the shoulder blades together, and pull those fingers back and really feel that squeeze down. We'll bring ourselves down. Now goalpost your arms, but keep your body in the same position. Bring your right hand in next to your right ribs. Bend your right knee, press into your right hand and open up the right hip. Feeling a big chest opener here. Keep rooting your tailbone towards your heels. And if having this right leg lifted and externally rotated doesn't feel good, you can go straight with it and just kind of stagger it behind your left leg. So that's option number 2, also just as good. But it's less load for your, it's like less torque for your low back. So if that doesn't feel open enough for it, you can skip it and find something else. We've gotcha. All right. Let's unwind though. Come back the way we came. Right arm can goalpost, and we'll bring our left hand in. So it's next to the ribs. Like you're going to do a push-up on one side. You do kind of do a push-up as you bend that left knee and open that left hip to the right side. Opening up the chest here. Breathing into it. Keep rooting the tailbone. Of course, your left leg can, just kind of like Lincoln log style, stack on top of that right leg and just stagger your left foot behind the right foot a little. Should be a pretty decent counterbalance. At least works well for me. Let me know if you have a different experience. And I'm one. Let's all just bring our hands under our forehead for a moment, bend the knees and windshield wiper the legs side to side a couple times. And we'll make our way around and onto our back. And go ahead and either keep the feet walked in or let the legs go long. Feel free to pause this tape, take Shavasana as long as you like, and when you're ready, hit play. finishing up your Shavasana, you can send the legs long. Arms by your side. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. Long stretch through the whole torso. Exhale. Gather the legs in. Give yourself a little rock from side to side. And bring yourself over to one side. And make your way up to a comfortable seated position. And just feeling this little bit of change in your energy, sort of retuning, feeling this connection. You can either bring the hands together, rest them in your palm. But when we move on our mat, we really do tend to this light that shines from within us, help it to shine a little bit brighter. So I thank you for shining that light from within, that light that truly shines from within all of us, and ties us all together and back to that light. And thank you for your practice.